I never meant to read it. But when I opened my sister's diary that rainy afternoon, I discovered a truth that destroyed everything I thought I knew about my family. My name is Rachel, and this is the story of how one secret changed my life forever. Hello everyone, I'm Sophia, and wow, welcome back. If you're new here, let me tell you what we do. I share real and emotional stories sent by listeners from all around the world. And these aren't just any stories, they're about love, loss, difficult choices, and everything in between. The best part. These stories can help you learn English and reflect on life at the same time. So you're not just improving your English, you're also connecting with real human experiences. And honestly, that's what makes this so special. Oh, and if you enjoy this content, please don't forget to like the video. It really helps. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we share new stories every week. And I'd love to hear from you, so share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the choices people make? Would you do things differently? Let me know. All right, now let's begin today's story. My name is Rochelle and I'm 26 years old. Last Saturday was supposed to be a simple day, just helping my older sister Sarah pack her things. She was moving to another city for a new job, and I wanted to spend time with her before she left. Sarah and I have always been close, or at least I thought we were. I arrived at her apartment early in the morning with coffee and boxers. She smiled when she saw me, but there was something sad in her eyes that I didn't understand. Sarah's bedroom was a mess. Clothes everywhere, books stacked in corners, and old memories scattered across the floor. "Can you start with the bookshelf?" she asked me, pointing to the tall wooden shelf against the wall. "I need to finish packing the kitchen." I nodded and watched her leave the room. The apartment felt strangely quiet, like it was holding its breath. I walked to the bookshelf and started pulling books down one by one, dusting them off before placing them carefully in a box. That's when I saw it. As I moved a heavy box of old textbooks, something fell from behind the bookshelf and hit the floor with a soft thud. I bent down to pick it up. It was a small notebook with a worn leather cover, dark blue and faded at the edges. The pages looked old and yellowed. I turned it over in my hands, and that's when I realized what it was: a diary. My heart started beating faster. I knew I shouldn't read it. This was Sarah's private journal, her personal thoughts. I stood there for a moment, holding the diary in my hands, feeling the weight of it. Part of me wanted to put it back, to pretend I never found it. But curiosity is a powerful thing. I thought about all the times Sarah seemed distant. All the conversations that ended too quickly, all the questions she never answered. Maybe this diary could help me understand my sister better. Maybe it would bring us closer. I looked toward the kitchen and heard Sarah moving around, opening and closing cabinets. She wouldn't know just one page, I told myself. Just one. I sat down on the floor, my back against the bed, and opened the diary to the first page. The handwriting was Sarah's. I recognized it immediately, but younger, less controlled. The first entry was dated March 15th, 15 years ago. I did the math quickly in my head. Sarah would have been 17 years old. I was only 11. The entry started simply, "I don't know who to talk to. Mom and Dad can't know. I'm scared." My stomach tightened. Something was wrong. I kept reading, my eyes moving faster across the page with each word. Then I saw the sentence that changed everything. "I took 3 tests. They're all positive. I'm pregnant." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. I stopped breathing for a second. Pregnant. Sarah was pregnant when she was 17. I never knew. Nobody ever told me. I tried to remember that time in our lives. What was I doing when I was 11? I was in 6th grade, worried about homework and friends, and Sarah, ... Sarah was dealing with this alone. My hand started shaking as I turned the page, desperate to know more. I couldn't stop now, even if I wanted to. I couldn't put the diary down. My hands were trembling as I turned page after page, reading entry after entry. Sarah's handwriting became messier as the entries continued, like she was writing faster, more desperately. She wrote about hiding her growing belly under loose clothes, about feeling sick every morning and pretending it was just the flu. She wrote about the father of the baby, but she never mentioned his name, only called him Jay. Jay doesn't know, one entry said. I can't tell him. He has his own life, his own dreams. This would ruin everything for him. The entries from April and May were the hardest to read. Sarah described how our mother finally noticed something was wrong. There was a terrible fight. I remember that fight event at 11 years old. I remember I was in my room doing homework when I heard Mom screaming. Dad's voice was cold and angry. Sarah was crying, but nobody told me what was happening. The next day, Mom told me that Sarah was going to spend the summer at Aunt Linda's house in another state. She needs a change of scenery, Mom said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I believed her. I was just a kid, but it was a lie. Sarah never went to Aunt Linda's house. According to the diary, our parents sent her to a home for pregnant teenagers 3 hours away from our city. She lived there for 4 months, surrounded by other girls in the same situation. I'm prisoner number 17, she wrote in June. That's what it feels like. The women here are kind, but I know what this place really is. It's where families hide their shame. She wrote about being lonely, about missing home, about being scared of giving birth. She was 17 and completely alone. And I was at home, enjoying my summer vacation, completely unaware. Then came the entry from August 3rd. My eyes filled with tears as I read it. She's here. My baby girl. I held her for 10 minutes. That's all they let me have. 10 minutes to memorize her face, her tiny fingers, the way she smelled. She has dark hair and dark eyes like me. She didn't cry much. She just looked at me like she was trying to remember my face too. Then they took her away. Mom and Dad signed the papers. It's done. She's gone, and I will never see her again. The page was stained with old teardrops. The ink smudged and blurred in several places. I sat there on the floor, crying silently, pressing my hand against my mouth so Sarah wouldn't hear me from the kitchen. How did I not know? How did I miss all of this? I was 11, yes, but I lived in the same house. I saw Sarah every day before she left and after she came back. When she returned home in September, she was different, quieter, sadder, but everyone said it was normal. Teenagers go through phases, Dad told me. Sarah went back to school for her senior year like nothing had happened. She smiled, she did her homework, she graduated, but inside, she was broken, and nobody helped her. Nobody talked about it. One kept reading through the years. The diary entries became less frequent after that summer. Sometimes months would pass between entries. Sarah wrote about trying to forget, about going to college, about building a new life. But there were also entries in the middle of the night where she wrote about the daughters she lost. She would be 3 years old today, one entry said. I wonder if she's happy. I wonder if her new parents love her the way I would have loved her. Another entry, years later. She's starting middle school now. Does she look like me? Does she ever wonder about her birth mother? The guilt crashed over me like a wave. My sister carried this pain for 15 years, and I never knew. I was about to close the diary when I noticed the entries became more frequent again in recent years. I flipped to the pages from 3 years ago and started reading. My heart stopped. I found her, Sarah wrote. It took me 2 years of searching. 2 years of calling adoption agencies and being turned away. 2 years of hitting dead ends. But I finally found her. Her name is Lily. She's 15 years old, and she lives here. In our city, she's been here this whole time. I read that sentence 3 times. Here, in our city. How was that possible? Sarah's entries became obsessive after that discovery. She wrote about driving past Lily's school just to catch a glimpse of her. She described Lily in detail, tall for her age, dark curly hair, a bright smile, Gucci sporches. She looks like me when I was her age, Sarah wrote. Same eyes, same laugh. I watched her play soccer last week. She's good, she's confident, she's happy, and she has no idea who I am. I could feel Sarah's pain in every word. She was so close to her daughter, but they were still worlds apart. Lily didn't know Sarah existed. Then I read the entry that made my blood run cold. I know who adopted her, Sarah wrote. I finally got confirmation today. It's Emma. Emma Richardson. Mom's best friend. The woman who used to babysit us when we were kids. The woman who comes to our house for Christmas dinner every year. The woman who calls me sweetie and asks about my life like she cares. Emma is raising my daughter, and she's been lying to my face for 15 years. I dropped the diary. My hands were shaking. Emma, our mom's best friend Emma. The woman with the kind smile and the warm hugs. Suddenly, everything started making sense in the worst possible way. I remembered when Emma adopted a baby girl about 15 years ago. Everyone was so happy for her. Emma finally got her miracle, people said. She tried for so many years to have a baby, and now God gave her one through adoption. I was 11 when Lily arrived. I remember meeting her when she was a tiny baby. Mom took me to Emma's house with a gift basket. I remember thinking the baby looked familiar somehow, but I was just a kid. I didn't understand. Nobody told me the truth. Maybe nobody told Emma's daughter either. I kept reading, and the entries got darker. Sarah wrote about the torture of seeing Lily at family gatherings. Emma brought Lily to our parents' house for holidays and birthdays. Sarah had to smile and act normal while her own daughter called another woman mom right in front of her. Last Christmas, Lily showed me her report card. Sarah wrote, she was so proud. Straight A's. She wanted me to be proud of her, too. I told her I was. Then I went to the bathroom and cried for 20 minutes. This should be my life. I should be the one looking at her report cards. I should be the one she calls mom. The most recent entry was from 6 months ago. I did something crazy today, Sarah wrote. I went to Emma's house and told her I wanted to volunteer at the community center where Lily plays soccer. Emma was so happy. She said Lily would love having me around. So now I'm there every week, helping with the team, bringing snacks, cheering from the sidelines. Lily talks to me. She trusts me. She tells me about school, about boys she likes, about her dreams, and I pretend to be just a nice adult volunteer. But I'm her mother. I'm her mother, and she will never know. I closed the diary and pressed it against my chest. The weight of Sarah's secret was crushing me, and I'd only known about it for an hour. She'd been carrying this for 15 years. I sat there on Sarah's bedroom floor, the diary still pressed against my chest, trying to process everything I had just read. My mind was racing with memories, connecting dots I never knew existed. Every family gathering, every Christmas dinner, every birthday party, Lily was there. I had seen her grow up. I had talked to her, laughed with her, given her presents. She called me Aunt Rachel, even though we weren't related by blood. But we were. We were related. She was my niece, and nobody told me. Nobody told her. The lie was so big, so carefully constructed, that it had become our reality. I started remembering specific moments with new eyes. Last Thanksgiving, Lily sat next to Sarah at dinner. They talked for hours about books they both loved. I remember thinking how sweet it was that Sarah was so patient with her. Now I understood it wasn't patience, it was hunger. Sarah was starving for time with her daughter, collecting every moment like precious treasures. And Lily had no idea. She just thought Sarah was a nice family friend who paid attention to her. The cruelty of it made me feel sick. How could our parents do this? How could they give Sarah's baby to their best friend and then force everyone to pretend nothing happened? I thought about Emma too. Did she know Sarah was the birth mother? She must have known. Mom and Dad would have told her when they arranged the adoption. So Emma knew every time she brought Lily to our house, every time she let Lily hug Sarah or talk to her. Emma knew the truth. Was it kindness or cruelty? Was she trying to give Sarah time with her daughter, or was she showing Sarah what she had lost? I didn't know any more. Everyone in this story had secrets, and I was the only one who didn't know. I was the only one still living in the lie. Then a terrible thought hit me. What about Lily? Did she know she was adopted? I tried to remember if anyone ever talked about it openly. I didn't think so. Emma always talked about Lily like she was her biological daughter. When I was pregnant with Lily, Emma would say, "Wait, no." Emma never said that. She said things like when Lily was born or when Lily came into my life, but never when I was pregnant. The language was always careful, always vague. Maybe Lily knew she was adopted but didn't know who her birth mother was. Or maybe, and this thought terrified me, maybe Lily didn't know at all. Maybe Emma had been lying to her daughter for 15 years. I heard Sarah's footsteps coming down the hallway. Panic shot through me like electricity. I quickly closed the diary and shoved it under a pile of books in the box next to me. My heart was pounding so hard I thought Sarah would hear it. She appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a towel. "How's it going in here?" she asked, looking around the room. "Good," I lied, my voice shaking slightly. "Almost done with the bookshelf." Sarah smiled at me, but I saw the sadness behind her eyes now. I had always seen it, but I never understood what it meant. Now I knew that sadness had a name. That sadness was called Lily. Sarah sat down on the bed behind me, and I felt her presence like a weight. "Rachel," she said softly, "I'm going to miss you when I move away." I turned to look at her, and suddenly I saw her differently. Not as my older sister who had everything together, but as a 17-year-old girl who had her baby taken away. As a woman who spent 15 years watching her daughter grow up from a distance, pretending to be nothing more than a friend. "I'll miss you too," I whispered, and tears filled my eyes. Sarah noticed. "Hey, why are you crying?" she asked, concerned. "It's just ... moving day emotions." I lied again, but I wanted to scream the truth. I wanted to tell her that I knew everything, that I had read her diary, that I understood her pain now, but I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Not yet. I needed time to think, to process, to decide what to do with this information. So I swallowed my tears and went back to packing boxers while Sarah returned to the kitchen. But my hands were moving automatically now. My mind was somewhere else entirely. I was thinking about all the times I had seen Lily in the past year. She came to our parents' house for Mom's birthday 2 months ago. She was 16 now, almost 17, the same age Sarah was when she gave birth to her. Lily was applying to colleges. She wanted to study medicine. She had her whole life ahead of her, and she had no idea that her entire existence was built on a secret. I pulled the diary back out from under the books when I was sure Sarah was busy in another room. I needed to read more. I needed to understand everything. I flipped through the recent pages, looking for more information. There was an entry from 3 months ago that made my hands shake. Lily asked me today if I ever wanted kids, Sarah wrote. We were sitting on the bleachers after soccer practice, just the two of us. She said I would make a great mother. I almost broke down right there. I told her that I did want kids someday, but life didn't work out that way yet. She hugged me and said, "There's still time." She has no idea that she is my child. No idea that I held her when she was 10 minutes old. No idea that I think about her every single day. No idea that loving her from a distance is killing me slowly. I closed the diary one final time and held it in my hands. This small leather notebook contained 15 years of pain, secrets, and unanswered questions. It contained a truth that could destroy our entire family if it came out. And now I was part of it. Now I carried the secret too. I looked at the diary and wondered, should I put it back behind the bookshelf and pretend I never found it? Should I talk to Sarah and tell her I know? Should I confront our parents and demand answers? Or should I do the unthinkable and tell Lily the truth myself? I didn't have answers yet, but one thing was certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. I had opened Pandora's box, and there was no closing it now. I spent the rest of the day helping Sarah pack, but I was moving like a robot. My body was there, putting things in boxers and taping them shut, but my mind was 1,000 miles away. Every time Sarah spoke to me, I had to force myself to focus on her words. "Rachel, are you okay?" She asked me twice. "You seem distracted." I blamed it on tiredness, on sadness about her moving away, on anything except the truth. The diary was now packed in a box labeled books, and knowing where it was felt like carrying a bomb. By evening, when I finally left Sarah's apartment, I felt exhausted not from the physical work, but from the weight of the secret. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I had read in the diary. Sarah's words echoed in my mind. I held her for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's all my sister got with her own daughter before our parents took her away. I thought about our mom and dad sleeping peacefully in their house just a few miles away, probably never thinking about what they did to Sarah 15 years ago. They ruined her life. They took her baby and gave it to their friend, and then they forced Sarah to watch that baby grow up as someone else's child. The anger inside me was growing, hot and sharp. I knew what I had to do. I had to talk to Sarah. She deserved to know that I knew. She deserved to not be alone with this secret anymore. 3 days later, I called Sarah. My hands were shaking as I held the phone. "Can we meet for coffee?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just the two of us. I need to talk to you about something." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Is everything okay?" Sarah asked, and I could hear the worry in her voice. "Everything's fine," I lied. "I just want to spend time with you before you move." We agreed to meet the next morning at a quiet cafe near her apartment. I hung up and immediately regretted it. What was I going to say? How do you tell someone that you invaded their privacy and read their deepest secrets? But I couldn't back out now. The truth was already eating me alive. The next morning, I arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early. I ordered coffee I didn't drink and sat at a corner table where no one could hear us. When Sarah walked in, I noticed how tired she looked. She had dark circles under her eyes, and her smile seemed forced. She sat down across from me and immediately said, "Okay, what's wrong? You've been acting strange since you helped me pack." I took a deep breath. My heart was pounding. "Sarah," I said quietly, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to not hate me for it." Her face went pale. "What happened?" she asked. I reached across the table and took her hand. "When I was packing your bookshelf, I found your diary and I read it. I'm so sorry, but I read it." The color drained completely from Sarah's face. She pulled her hand away from mine like I had burned her. "You, you read it," she whispered, her voice breaking. "All of it." I nodded, tears already filling my eyes. "I know about the baby. I know about Lily. I know everything." For a moment, Sarah just stared at me in shock. Then her face crumpled, and she started crying, not quiet tears, but deep, painful sobs that shook her whole body. She put her face in her hands, and I heard her whisper, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." I moved my chair next to hers and put my arm around her shoulders. "I'm sorry," I kept saying. "I'm so sorry." But I wasn't sure if I was apologizing for reading the diary or for not knowing about her pain sooner. It took several minutes for Sarah to calm down enough to speak. When she finally looked at me, her eyes were red and swollen. "I never wanted you to know," she said, her voice hoarse. "I never wanted anyone to know. It's my shame, my burden, not yours." I shook my head firmly. "It's not shame, Sarah. What happened to you wasn't your fault. You were 17. You were a child yourself." Sarah laughed bitterly. "Try telling that to Mom and Dad. They made me feel like I had destroyed the family, like I was dirty and broken. They couldn't even look at me when I was pregnant. They just wanted it all to go away. And I let them take her. I signed the papers. I let them give my baby to Emma." "Did Emma know?" I asked carefully. "Did she know the baby was yours?" Sarah nodded slowly. "Of course she knew. Mom and Dad arranged everything with her. Emma couldn't have children, she had tried for years. So when I got pregnant, they saw it as a solution. Emma gets the baby she always wanted, and I get to move on with my life like nothing happened." Sarah's hands were shaking as she spoke. "But the cruelest part, they kept Lily close. Emma brings her to every family event. I have to see her, talk to her, watch her grow up, and pretend she's nothing to me. Mom and Dad thought they were being kind by letting me see her. But it's torture, Rachel. It's absolute torture." I felt anger rising in my chest again. "What about Lily?" I asked. "Does she know she's adopted? Does she know you're her mother?" Sarah wiped her eyes and shook her head. "Emma told her she was adopted when she was 8 years old. But she didn't tell her who the birth mother was. As far as Lily knows, her birth mother is some anonymous teenager who gave her up because she couldn't take care of her. Emma made me promise, she made all of us promise that we would never tell Lily the truth. She said it would be too confusing, too painful. She said Lily was happy and that telling her would ruin her life." Sarah's voice cracked. "So I agreed. Like an idiot. I agreed to let my daughter grow up thinking I abandoned her to strangers." "But you didn't abandon her," I said firmly, gripping Sarah's hand. "Mom and Dad forced you? You were 17, Sarah. You had no power, no choice. They manipulated you, and they're still manipulating you." Sarah looked at me with exhausted eyes. "What difference does it make now? Lily is 16. She has a life, a mother she loves, plans for the future. If I tell her the truth now, it will destroy her. It will destroy everything. She hate me for lying all these years. She hate Emma for lying. She'll hate our parents. What good does the truth do if it just causes more pain?" I didn't have an answer. I wanted to tell Sarah that the truth always matters, that Lily deserved to know. But looking at my sister's broken face, I wasn't sure anymore. We sat in that cafe for 2 hours, talking quietly while our coffee grew cold. Sarah told me everything, things that weren't in the diary. She told me about the father of the baby, a boy named James, who moved away before Sarah even knew she was pregnant. She told me about the home for pregnant teenagers, about the other girls there who became her only friends. She told me about holding Lily for those 10 minutes and trying to memorize every detail of her face. She told me about the years of therapy, the depression, the nights when she couldn't stop crying. And she told me about the past 3 years, volunteering at Lily's soccer games, collecting tiny moments with her daughter like precious jewels. Sometimes, Sarah whispered, Lily calls me Aunt Sarah and it breaks my heart. But it's better than nothing. It's all I have. By the time we left the cafe, I knew one thing for certain. I couldn't let Sarah carry this alone anymore. We were in this together now. For the next week, I couldn't think about anything else. The secret consumed me. I went to work, I talked to friends, I lived my normal life, but inside, I was drowning in questions. Every night, I lay awake thinking about Lily. She was 16 years old, preparing for college, living what she thought was a normal life. But her entire existence was built on a lie. Did she deserve to know the truth, or would knowing destroy her? I thought about Sarah too, watching her daughter from a distance, pretending to be nothing more than a family friend. How much longer could she live like this? How much more pain could one person carry? I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just stand by and watch this tragedy continue. I made a decision. I was going to confront our parents. They were the ones who created this mess 15 years ago, and they were the ones who kept it going. Maybe if I confronted them, they would finally take responsibility. Maybe they would help Sarah tell Lily the truth. Or maybe, and this thought scared me, maybe they would try to silence me too. Just like they silenced Sarah, but I had to try. On Saturday morning, I drove to my parents' house without calling first. I wanted to catch them off guard. When I knocked on the door, Mom answered with a surprised smile. Rachel, what a nice surprise. Come in, come in. Your father just made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table where I had eaten breakfast 1,000 times as a child. Everything looked so normal, the blue curtains, the fruit bowl on the counter, the family photos on the wall. But I saw those photos differently now. There was one of Sarah at her high school graduation, smiling for the camera. That photo was taken 3 months after she gave birth to Lily. 3 months after her life was destroyed. Nobody looking at that photo would know. The smile hid everything. Dad poured me coffee and sat down across from me. So, what brings you here? He asked, cheerfully. I looked at both of them, my mother with her kind eyes and my father with his gentle smile, and I wondered how these people could have done what they did. I need to talk to you about Sarah, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Mom's smile faded slightly. Is she okay? Is something wrong with the move? She asked. I shook my head. I'm not talking about the move. I'm talking about what happened 15 years ago. I'm talking about Lily. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom's face went white. Dad's coffee cup froze halfway to his mouth. They looked at each other, then back at me. How do you, ... double quotes Mom started, but her voice trailed off. I found Sarah's diary. I said bluntly, I know everything. I know about the pregnancy, about the home you sent her to, about how you gave her baby to Emma, and I know that you've been lying to all of us for 15 years. Dad put his coffee cup down slowly. His face had turned hard, closed off. "That diary was private," he said coldly. "You had no right to read it." I felt anger flash through me. "That's what you're worried about? My privacy violation? What about Sarah's rights? She was 17 years old, and you took her baby away." Mom reached across the table like she was going to take my hand, but I pulled away. "Rachel, you don't understand," she said, her voice pleading. "We did what was best for everyone. Sarah was too young to be a mother. She had her whole life ahead of her, college, career, everything. The baby would have ruined all of that, and Emma desperately wanted a child. It was perfect." Her words made me feel sick. "Perfect," I've repeated, my voice rising. "You think it was perfect? Sarah has been destroyed by this. She's been living with this pain for 15 years. She watches her own daughter grow up and has to pretend she's nothing to her. How is that perfect?" Dad stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "We gave Sarah a chance at a normal life," he said firmly. "She went to college. She has a good job. She's successful. If we had let her keep that baby, she would be a single mother struggling to survive. We saved her from that." I stood up to facing him. "You didn't save her. You traumatized her. And you're still traumatizing her by forcing her to keep this secret." The kitchen felt too small, too hot. I could barely breathe. Mom started crying. "We thought we were doing the right thing," she sobbed. "Sarah was so young, so scared. We thought if we gave the baby to Emma, at least the child would stay close to the family. At least Sarah could see her grow up. We thought that would be better than giving her to complete strangers." I looked at my mother's tears and felt no sympathy. "Did you ever ask Sarah what she wanted?" I demanded. "Did you ever give her a choice?" Mom shook her head, unable to speak. Dad answered for her. "She was a child. She couldn't make a decision like that. We're her parents. It was our job to decide for her." His words were so calm, so certain. He truly believed he had done the right thing. That realization terrified me more than anything else. "What about Lily?" I asked, my voice shaking now. "Does she deserve to live her whole life not knowing the truth? She thinks her birth mother is some stranger who didn't want her. But her birth mother is right there, at every family dinner, at every holiday. She calls Sarah Aunt Sarah when Sarah is actually her mother. Don't you think that's cruel?" Dad's face hardened even more. "Lily is happy. Emma is a good mother. Why would we destroy that happiness by telling her something that will only cause pain?" Mom nodded through her tears. "Lily doesn't need to know. It would only confuse her and hurt her. Sometimes, Rachel, the kindest thing is to let people live in peace with what they believe is true." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Sarah has the right to tell her daughter the truth," I said firmly. "It's not your decision anymore. It's Sarah's, and I'm going to support her if she decides to tell Lily who she really is." Dad's eyes flashed with anger. "You will do no such thing," he said in a voice I had never heard before. "If you or Sarah try to tell Lily, you will tear this family apart. Emma will never forgive us. Lily will be traumatized. Everything we've built will be destroyed. I forbid you to say anything." I stared at him in disbelief. "You forbid me," I said quietly. "I'm not a child, Dad. And neither is Sarah anymore. You can't control us." I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. Mom called after me, "Rachel, please, don't do this. Don't ruin everything." But I didn't stop. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. I sat in my car outside my parents' house for a long time, shaken The confrontation had changed nothing. My parents still believed they were right. They still thought their lies were justified. They would never help Sarah tell the truth. They would fight against it. I pulled out my phone and called Sarah. She answered on the second ring. "Rachel, what's wrong?" I took a deep breath. "I just talked to Mom and Dad," I said. I confronted them about Lily and Sarah. They're never going to support you. They're going to fight you if you try to tell the truth. But I want you to know something. You don't need their permission. Lily is your daughter. You have the right to tell her who you are, no matter what anyone else says. And whatever you decide to do, I'll be right there with you. You're not alone anymore." There was silence on the other end, and then I heard Sarah crying softly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for believing in me." That conversation with Sarah happened 3 weeks ago. She's supposed to move to her new city next month, but she told me yesterday that she's having second thoughts. Not about the job, about leaving Lily behind. "If I move away," she said, "I'll lose even the small moments I have with her now. I won't see her at family dinners. I won't volunteer at her games. I'll lose her completely." We talked for hours about what she should do. Should she stay and continue living this painful lie? Should she move away and try to start fresh? Or should she do the unthinkable and finally tell Lily the truth? As of today, Sarah still hasn't decided. But I can see something changing in Hera, quiet strength growing. For 15 years, she let our parents control her story. Maybe, finally, she's ready to take control back. I found my sister's secret diary by accident that Saturday morning. But now I wonder, was it really an accident? Or was it meant to be found? Maybe some secrets are too heavy to carry alone. Maybe some truths are meant to come to light, no matter how painful they are. And maybe, just maybe, it's finally time for Lily to know who her real mother is. Wow, that was intense, wasn't it? Every time I share one of these stories, I'm reminded of how complex life can be. You know, I truly believe that every story has something to teach us. Sometimes it's about love, sometimes it's about loss, and sometimes it's just about being human and making difficult choices. So, what do you think about today's story? I really want to know your opinion. Do you agree with the choices that were made? Would you do things differently? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and honestly, I love reading your perspectives. Sometimes you guys see things that I completely miss. Oh, and if this story touched your heart, if you felt something while listening, please give it a like. It really helps more people discover these stories. And don't forget to subscribe. We share new emotional stories every week. And trust me, we have some incredible ones coming up. And if you have your own story you'd like to share, something that's been on your mind or weighing on your heart, send it to me. You never know, your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Take care of yourselves, okay? And remember, life is complicated, but we're all doing our best. See you in the next story.